What's up, fight fans? Welcome to the Rearview Mirror, UFC Fight Night 117 post-fight show. My name is Flyin Brian J. Thank you so very much for joining me. As I wait for some people to come in here, if you're watching live on Facebook, you can see that I got like a little red spot on my forehead here. I'm a little bit proud of it. I started training BJJ recently, and this is fucking mat burn. I got mat burn on my forehead. How ridiculous is that? I haven't even been doing live rolling. I've been just practicing positions. So I got scuffed up by just practicing positions. But it makes me feel like I'm actually working towards something and doing something productive, and that feels pretty good. So anyway, we're here to talk about UFC Fight Night 117 or hashtag UFC Japan in the rearview mirror. I don't have a vote here, guys. The thing that I use to put votes on the live streams isn't working. So that's kind of annoying. But anyway, I want to know what you guys would give this card a post-fight letter grade. Or a 1 to 5, 1 out of 5 stars, or 1 to 5 stars. Before the fight card, Nicholas Baldwin from BloodyElbow.com and I did a pre-fight show, and we both ended up with a 2.6 for the card. So that was a failing grade, and honestly, it's going to come out with about the same, maybe a 3 out of 5 for me. It wasn't that fun, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't do a post-fight show immediately after it. Another reason is I had to get up early today to start doing some preparation for a vacation that I'm going on like at 6 in the fucking morning tomorrow, so I had to do some of that stuff. So in the main event, StPreux defeated Yushin Okami with a technical submission Von Flue choke. That is very interesting because StPreux has now landed 3 Von Flue chokes in his UFC career. There have been 5 Von Flue chokes landed in UFC history. 3 of them belong to StPreux. And a lot of people on social media, and even the announcer, Dan Hardy, asked Vince after the fight was over, do you think that we should call it the Von Preux now? And I'm like, fuck it. Let's one-up it. Von Flue had 0 Von Flue chokes in the UFC, right? StPreux has now had 3. I think we should just call that choke the StPreux. And how he was able to implement that choke was Yushin Okami basically gave it to him. Again, I just started training BJJ this last week. I've been to 4 classes, so I'm no expert. But it looked like to me, Vince gets his opponent in a position where he's in half guard on, like, let's say, I'm going to say he's half guard on the left side, and he's got his head under their arm on the right side of their body, or on his right side, so it would be the left side of their body, but you get what I'm saying. He's got his hands clasped behind their head and one arm. And so he could, like, if he wanted to get his body to then his whole right side, side control, he could get an arm triangle choke, but instead what he does when they reach their hand up over his head, when he's got him under there, he's got his head already under their arm, they reach over, he just puts his hands, then he clasps them together. He holds their arm when they put it over their head there so they can't pull it back out. And then he just puts shoulder pressure with his left shoulder down on their throat. And it's a position where Yushin Okami probably could have avoided it. At the very beginning of the fight, like 10 seconds into it, Yushin Okami went in for a pretty shitty single leg takedown, ended up like kind of pulling guard. And Vince quickly went to work on moving to that position to get the Von Flue choke. Now we're calling it the StPreux choke, so I'm going to try to stop calling it the Von Flue. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm just going with it. So whatever you think. If you think it's going to stick with the Von Flue, whatever you want to do. Yushin should have known better than to reach over his head. I don't understand what that would do to benefit him. You should be swimming to get under hooks, to get as much space as possible, get StPreux away from you, re-guard, get out of half guard, and get into full guard, so maybe you could do a sweep or something. So I don't know what he was doing with the arm over there, but anyway, Yushin came in on super short notice. He didn't put on a good showing, really. StPreux got a post-fight bonus for the third amazing choke that he's gotten in the UFC. But did he really deserve it? He was facing an opponent that had been fighting at 170 pounds outside of the octagon, came in on short notice, and a lot of times when that happens, for my money, I think that somebody else should get the post-fight bonus. But there were only 4 finishes on the card, so yeah, I probably would have given the post-fight bonus instead to Vince. I would probably given it to Jacare Formiga, or possibly even Dong Young Kim, but we'll talk about Dong Young in a second. I don't think he deserves a post-fight bonus either, because Takanori Gomi just really didn't deserve to be in the octagon with him. Dong Hyun Kim, the maestro, not the stun gun. Takanori Gomi, and we're moving over the co-main event. We're going to talk about Gomi versus Dong Hyun quick, and then I'll come back to the what the F of the card, and then we'll talk about the co-main event. Gomi has lost now 5 times in a row, all in the first round, 4 out of 5 via TKO. So I understand why we had him in there. He's a Japanese fighter, so we were in Japan, so that's why we had him. But dude, normally in the UFC, guys get 3 losses in a row, even if they are as legendary, they have huge names like Takanori Gomi, we cut them. Or the UFC cuts them, not we. I'm not part of their team. But fucking 4 in a row? And then the last one was he got destroyed by John Tuck? Like, you gotta go, dude. And he is now 35-14-1. That's a fucking assload of fights. I didn't want to see that fight at all. But hats off to Dong Hyun Kim. He hit him with a short, straight right that dropped Takanori, a tiny bit of ground and pound, and the referee had to step in. Quite obvious to me that Gomi was in there for just a paycheck, didn't really give a fuck about actually trying hard. I mean, the fight lasted a minute 30. Ugh. Wow. I hope that Takanori retires and doesn't try to go to something like Risen or some BS like that, because there are people that will still pay him to show up because he's got this name. But I just don't care to watch him fight anymore. You got to think that he's going to start having a little bit of brain damage. Anyway, let's talk about the WTF of the card. I see that nobody's talking to me yet in the comment section where we're talking live on Facebook. So if you guys want to interject with your opinions and stuff, you guys are my co-hosts, so I want you to be involved here. Before we talk about the co-main event, which was Jessica Bate Estaca Andrade versus Claudia Gadelha, we're going to go over some WTFs of the card. I think what I'm going to end up going with as WTF of the card is the, let's see, third fight of the night, Suri Sayuri Kondo versus Chanmi John. What's up, Christopher? Between rounds 1 and 2, Chanmi John let out a war cry, like, ah! But she's got like the highest pitched voice you could fucking possibly imagine. So I always watch fights with my headphones on like this, like I am right now. And that was like, nails on a chalkboard. And she did that in her UFC debut against JJ Aldrich too. And people are like, oh, she's got a lot of fire in her. But then she like wasn't doing that much in the actual fight. Like, save that energy from the scream and actually use it in the contest. How about that, you think? Maybe you could do that? No? Okay. Then between rounds 2 and 3, they both did it. They both were just screaming across the octagon with some war cries, and still the fight was not very exciting. So my WTF is, what the fuck are you both doing? If you're going to act like you're that excited, you're that, like, ferocious, you're that primal, let's see it. The fight wasn't purely boring, but let's get after it a little bit, ladies. You're going to act like that between rounds? Let's get after it in the actual fight. Huh. I'm going to come back to that comment, Chad. Remind me. That's interesting. The next WTF of the card is going to Jussier Formiga. This is per Nick Baldwin from BloodyElbow.com. I didn't hear it with my own ears, but I saw him tweet it, so this is from Nick. Formiga, in his post-fight interview, said that he's not worried about the title right now, and then 30 seconds later, he said, I just want the title. So my WTF is going to Jussier Formiga. What the fuck, Jussier? Tell us what you mean. I'm confused, bro. Do you want the title? You're not worried about it? What the F, Jussier? Last WTF of the card is going to Gokhan Saki and Henrique da Silva for their phenomenally exciting back-and-forth one-round affair. Came out early. Gokhan dropped da Silva. I can't remember what kind of strike he used, but dropped da Silva, put him on his ass. Then he got super tired and was having his hands on his hips, and da Silva was getting with the plum clinch, knees to the face a whole bunch. Saki looked like he was about to get finished up against the fence, just leaning against the fence, hands down. Da Silva was hitting him with high kicks, hooks, body punches, knees to the face again with the plum clinch. And then all of a sudden, Saki let off a left hook that dropped da Silva, and the referee called the fight off. So that's a good WTF. Like, what the fuck? That was a crazy fun round. But in the end, I'm giving the true WTF of the card to, like I said, Kondo versus John. Chad Webb is helping us transition into talking about the co-main event of the evening. He thinks that Claudia Gadelha had a wardrobe malfunction and it took her off of her game mentally. This fight resulted in a unanimous decision victory for Jessica Andrade, 30-25, 30-26, and 30-27. Claudia, I thought, won most of the first round, but then toward the end of the first round, Jessica got her to the ground and fucking waylaid her on the ground. And from that moment, I don't know where that wardrobe malfunction was, Chad. I'm going to pull it up. I have the fight's DVR'd, so I'm going to pull it up, and then we'll check it out, and then I'll get back to you guys. So like my Facebook page. It's not up there, but it's at Flyin Brian Show, or I'll just put it in the comment section now. And give my Facebook page a like, and I will inform you on if I can actually find the wardrobe malfunction, and if there is this thing, I will take a picture of it. Not to be perverted, but just so you guys know what actually happened, if I find it. Thanks for the tip, Chad. Anywho, once Jessica got that takedown at the end of round 1, which I could pull up the stats right now, what happened, it was really Jessica Andrade's fight from that moment on. Claudia Gadelha has never had great cardio, and in my pre-fight analysis, I should have said that Jessica could win this fight because of that. Jessica, in all of her fights, she gets stronger as they go on. I think even against Joanna Champion, she got stronger as the fights went on. And Gadelha always gets slower. Total strikes landed. Jessica Andrade in the first round, 48. Claudia Gadelha, 27. One takedown for Jessica. Second round, 73 total strikes landed for Jessica Andrade, 17 for Claudia Gadelha. In the holy fudge, third round, 121 strikes landed for Jessica Andrade and 3 for Claudia Gadelha, 2 takedowns for Jessica Andrade. And you can tell from those stats alone why one judge gave the second round and the third round 10-8 for Jessica, in favor of Jessica. One judge gave just the third round 10-8 for Jessica. I don't know what that third judge was thinking, a 30-27. I mean, just based on those stats alone, and if you were to have watched the fight and you could see how just dejected and how Claudia had nothing left to give and Jessica was just fucking pummeling her in the third round, all of the judges should have gave the third round a 10-8 for sure. I kind of understand why you wouldn't do it for round 2, but wow. Jessica Andrade at one point even picked Claudia up and fucking slammed her back on the canvas extremely hard. Big props for Jessica Andrade. That was an amazing performance. Ronnie Deal said Jessica looked better than ever, non-stop pace. That's what's so impressive, Ronnie, is that she was doing a lot of grappling. She was throwing every strike with a lot of thunder. And then total strikes thrown in this fight, 355. And like I said, they're powerful. And every single strike she throws is a power shot. She's like John Lineker throwing power hooks to the body, power hooks to the head. Just everything that she throws is with full force. And she threw 355 of them sons of guns. Jeepers creepers. That's impressive. We'll talk in a second about what's next for Jessica Andrade. But right after I get here to Christopher Flint, who says, Claudia knows that's her weakness. Do you think it's just impossible for certain fighters to improve their cardio, or they're not working on it hard enough? I don't know. Conor McGregor has this problem as well. His cardio is just shit. It's tough. I wish that I had enough time to train in full mixed martial arts, because I've got a full-time job, and I don't want to talk about me, but I just want to give you some information about why I don't understand fully. I work a full-time job, 40 hours a week, and then I play Flyin Brian on the internet as a part-time job for MMA Mania, and also for myself as well. So it's hard for me to get to the gym as much as I would like, and then it's hard for me to get to the scheduled classes. There's only one place in my town that offers mixed martial arts classes, and they happen late night, and it's tough for me to unwind after going to those classes. So I'd like to go, and so I'd like to understand better. Part of me thinks Claudia just doesn't focus on it enough. If she were to focus more on her cardio, she might lose some of her muscularity. Part of me thinks it's just genetics. Ronnie Deal says, run hills, best advice from Joe Rogan. I don't know. It's very interesting, and I'm talking about Claudia Gadelha is very muscular. So's Jessica Andrade, but Jessica just had cardio for fucking days. It's interesting. Also, it needs to be said that perhaps Claudia was hurt at the end of that first round from some very vicious ground and pound from Jessica Andrade, and then at the beginning of the second as well. Every time you take a power shot to the face, again, I don't know this from experience because I don't train in getting punched in the face, but you can tell by watching as many fights as I've watched in my life, their cardio goes down and down and down and down and down every time they get punched in the face. And she got punched in the face like 200 times. So that'll take away anybody's cardio. But we do know that Claudia has had an issue with that in the past. So, yeah, I suppose we could say she just needs to work on it. And that's something... In Claudia's last fight prior to this, she fought Karolina Kowalkiewicz, and she just destroyed Karolina. And we didn't get to see Claudia use her gas tank at all because it was a first-round destruction of Karolina. First-round submission. There were only 17 total strikes landed in that fight. So we didn't get to see her excel or improve her game at all, which now I'm going to talk about what's next for Jessica Andrade. I think she needs one more fight, one more victory before she could get another crack at Joanna Champion because she just fought Joanna Champion. And her destruction of Claudia Gadelha doesn't tell me anything about her chances against Joanna Jędrzejczyk because completely different styles. Coming into this fight, if I were to have paired a beer with this fight alone, I would have paired, well, actually... Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry, guys. I think my internet just went shitboxy for a second. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is that Claudia Gadelha and Jessica Andrade are so similar that Jessica beating a mirror image of herself tells us nothing about her chances against Joanna. Joanna's still going to be able to jab her and use footwork to move away. She's still going to be able to put combinations on her leg kicker because I don't think Jessica's going to be checking leg kicks. And Jessica's still going to do the same thing, just march her down. Why it was able to work against Claudia Gadelha is because Gadelha's trying to do the same thing. Just get in tight, get in a firefight in a phone booth, and do some grappling, go for takedowns. So it tells us nothing about Jessica versus Joanna. So, like, Jessica could be a solid number 2. Ronnie Deal says they even almost look like twins. Yeah. They did, dude. They're very similar. Muscular, short girls, thick, dark hair, Brazilian. They're similar in their look. They're similar in their fighting styles. So what I would like next for Jessica, excuse me, and Kid Nate and what's the other guy's name? Eddie Mercado on the 6th round post-fight show last night said that Jessica should fight someone like Karolina Kowalkiewicz because Karolina is Joanna light. And I don't know, because Karolina did not look good against Claudia and MMA math and all that jazz, but we know that we need Jessica to get one more victory before getting another title shot at Joanna because immediate rematches when it was a clear victory for Joanna, it's just not necessary. But what else would you do with Jessica Andrade? I've got the rankings pulled up here, and Jessica is number 4. Josh Rochelle, who likes my Facebook page, said that perhaps we could give Jessica a fight against Tisha Torres, the Tiny Tornado. And that could be okay. That could be a fun matchup. But I think that Jessica probably steamrolls her. Maybe that'd be a fun matchup. But for a stepping stone for Jessica, I'd like her to fight Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And that would suck because I like Karolina. And I think she would lose to Jessica. And I don't want her to see her lose 2 in a row. But such is life, right? What's Cynthia Calvillo got going on? Because she's number 7. I don't know. She'd be a fun fight for anybody. I'd watch her fight Jessica Andrade. Hey, Christopher just said it. Too soon for Calvillo. Probably is, but that'd be a fun stylistic matchup. I also don't want to see her get her face bludgeoned at this point in her career before getting more experience and getting closer to the top. I mean, really, what do you give Jessica Andrade? And I can't play favorites where I don't want Karolina to lose, so I guess that's probably it. What do you think, Christopher? Ronnie? Am I off base here? All right. Chad Webb, don't forget about all the girls about to jump shit when 125 opens up. Man, And Jessica, because she came down from... Man, 125 is going to be so fun. Jessica, because she came down from 135 pounds, she could easily go to 125. And then you got... Something bad must have just happened in a Husker game. And then you got... Who am I thinking of? Shevchenko coming down from 135 to 125. I think 125 is about to be the most fun women's division in the UFC, at least for a little bit, just to kind of till it shakes out. Man, that's going to be exciting. Let's talk about some other fights. Move down. Teruto Ishihara versus Rolando D. I forgot to give a possible WTF of the card. Rolando D kicked Teruto Ishihara in the nuts 3 times. And he kept arguing, I'd only kicked him in the nuts once. Like, nope. Clearly 3 times, Rolando. So the WTF could be, WTF, Rolando? You hit him square in the nuts 3 times? You can't count? This is 1? He thought he hit him in the belly. Okay, sure. Teruto showed a pretty well-rounded skill set in that fight. He hadn't been looking great. He's been just trying to counter with single strikes. He looked awful against Gray Maynard, but Gray Maynard just wrestled him. Teruto showed a lot of power with counters. He showed some wrestling ability. He showed ability to come back from nut shots and look really, really good, which kind of afforded him more time to recover. Those nut shots did, but anyway, Teruto got the unanimous decision, 28-27, 28-27, and 29-27. Christopher Flint said the last nut shot from Rolando made his nuts hurt. Dude, the last one was loud as fuck and just square on the cup. And I think Dan Hardy said, I hope he has a steel cup. You could hear that it was not steel. And you could see that it didn't hurt Rolando, so it wasn't a steel cup. Moving down, Jussier Formiga versus Ulka Yuta Sasaki. Jussier won via rear naked choke with 30 seconds to go in round number 1. When the fight was on the feet, Ulka was tuning him up, making Jussier's face really red, hitting him with long strikes, front kick to the face, jabs, check hooks, all kinds of shit. As soon as Jussier got the fight to the ground, it was good night, Irene, as Michael Chevalo would say. Jussier tooled on him. And I thought that was crazy because Ulka played well in the jiu-jitsu, in the BJJ against Wilson Hayes, but Jussier ran through him like a hot knife through butter. Man, like I was about to make a dirty reference, so I'm going to pass. But anyway, Jussier tooled on him, and I thought that Jussier probably deserved a post-fight bonus. Moving down, I don't really want to cover the Fight Pass prelims because they just weren't that good. They weren't that fun. I mean, the first fight of the night, Dachi Abe versus Hyungyu Lim, was a pretty decent time, so we can cover that a little bit. Dong Yum was doing good with long strikes and stretches. Dachi Abe was doing good with counters, and sometimes he would back off and let Hyungyu come forward. It was pretty back and forth, but overall, like, it was the start of the night. This was a fight card that started later than normal, because like we had a fight drop out with Mizuto Hirota. He couldn't fight. He had a tough weight cut or something. He looked awful on the scale, and he was just not doing well, so they didn't let him fight Charles Rosa. So there were no Fight Pass prelims. And so the prelims, the only like name I cared about was Kita Nakamura and Alex Morono. The rest of them I couldn't give 2 shits about mostly. And they all went to a decision, so it wasn't that fun. Kita Nakamura versus Alex Morono. Morono's got a background in Taekwondo, and Kita Nakamura is, he likes to get the fights to the ground, look for submissions. On the feet, though, Kita was doing better from range because he was hitting Morono with kicks, and Morono couldn't get his kicks going, and Morono only had hands. So it was Nakamura's kicks versus Morono's hands, and Nakamura was doing better because he could keep the fight at range with those kicks. And it was interesting because between rounds 1 and 2, Morono in his corner was like, you know what, I think I'm going to start kicking now, right, guys? And he was asking his cornerman, so I should probably start kicking him? And they're like, yeah, I think you should probably start kicking him. And he's like, I probably lost that round, didn't I? And they're like, no, I think you won that round. It was neat, but I forgot to mention that Rolando D had a point deducted for kicking Teruto in the dick. So if he would not have had that point deducted, we would have had a majority draw. So that's funny. Huh. Yeah, what a weird fight. You should probably just, control your weapons, Rolando. My post-fight bonuses, like I said, would go to Fight of the Night. Fight of the Night might have gone for me, even though it was only a 4 minutes and 45-second fight. Gokhan Saki versus Henrique da Silva. Give those guys Fight of the Night. And then performance bonuses. Performance bonuses go to Jacare Formiga. And then, I know, this isn't the normal way to do things. The UFC, I don't know if they've ever done this. But performance bonus to Jessica Andrade. Rather than giving Jessica Andrade versus Claudia Gadelha Fight of the Night, I would give Jessica Andrade a performance bonus. She didn't get a finish, but it was probably the most impressive performance on the card. Sure, it was great that Vince got his third StPreux choke, but he was against a super. And in my pre-fight breakdown, I said Yushin didn't look that much smaller, but that was just in media face-offs. In the octagon, Yushin did look smaller, and he looked flabbier. And he came in on short notice, so I'm just less impressed with Vince's performance than I was with Jessica Andrade's. So Jessica, performance bonus, Jacare Formiga, performance bonus, and Fight of the Night goes to Gokhan Saki versus Henrique da Silva, even though it was only a 4 minute and 45-second affair. Again, my post-fight star rating, 1 to 5, I gave it a 3. Pre-fight, I gave it a 2.6, so it exceeded my expectations ever so slightly. I was pretty turned off. Well, I wasn't turned off because I was never turned on. That's not exactly how I want to say that, but you understand what I'm trying to get at. The prelims kind of sucked on FXX. The 4-fight prelims weren't that exciting. So leading into the main card, I was just kind of feeling down. And then I picked Ulka Sasaki, so Jussier beat him, and I was like, gosh, darn it. Just feeling bad about myself. So, again, the card didn't wow me. I didn't expect it to wow me, but it ended up being a little bit better than I thought it would be. If you're here now, please give the video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Give my Facebook page a like. Again, I'll share it in the comment section here. Please like my Facebook page. And then if you want to listen to my shows later on that I do for MMA Mania, you don't want to stick on Facebook the whole time, I do upload all of them to SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, Podcast Addict, Player FM, Google Play. Wherever you can get podcasts, you can get the MMA Mania podcast feed, and it's basically it's all of me. It's me, basically. It's me and guests that I pull in from time to time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for a little bit here. I know it's a day late. We're $1 short. A lot of you are probably watching college football right now, but I appreciate you for sticking around. I won't be back until sometime, not next week. I won't be back until October 2nd or 3rd at the earliest, because I'm going on vacation starting tomorrow. Bellator tonight. Thanks for reminding me, Ronnie. Is that what's called, Christopher? I don't know. I'm going on vacation at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll be gone until the 1st, and then I have to go to work on the 2nd and the 3rd, but I'll be back on those days. So see you guys on like the 2nd or 3rd. Thanks so much for hanging out again. I really appreciate you. Namaste.